Women Who Own It podcast spotlights women business owners who are pioneers in their field, setting trends, blazing trails, and creating game-changing innovations. Brought to you by WeBank, the largest certifier of women-owned businesses in the U.S. and a leading advocate for women business owners and entrepreneurs. And me, Allison Maslin. I've been a business owner for the last 35 years. I'm the Wall Street Journal best-selling author of the book Scale or Fail. So join our bold community of women who built it, grew it, and own it. I'll see you on the show. Welcome to Women Who Own It podcast, brought to you by WeBank, the largest certifier of women-owned businesses. The Women Who Own It podcast is supported by Target Corporation. Now, this show is for women business leaders by women business leaders. And I'm your host, Allison Maslin, founder of Pinnacle Global Network, where we mentor businesses around the world to grow and scale their companies. Now, today, talk about growing and scaling. We have Lisa Riggs, who is known as the Sock Queen, and we'll dive into that. She's the founder of Sox USA, a company focused on making a difference in the world with each pair of its customized socks. Now, by collaborating with her customers to design unique socks and incorporating their branding, Lisa has found a niche that allows her to use her background in fundraising, HR, and management. Now, as a mom of two college-age children, Lisa has been involved in fundraisers for a variety of their activities and sports. And after creating a sock fundraiser for her daughter's school, Lisa realized that this success could be replicated in other businesses. And I really want to dive into this with her. So that's how Sox USA was born. We'll learn more about that. And to date, Lisa has helped hundreds of businesses with branded socks that can be sold, provided as a corporate gift, or offered as a giveaway. So Lisa, welcome to Women Who Own It.
Thank you, Allison. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on the podcast today.
Yeah, now I want to dive a little bit into your story, but you were in corporate, in HR and management, and going from that is, pretty systemized, and you kind of have your lane, to then starting your own business. I'm wondering, what did you have to break through personally, emotionally, to make this leap?
That's actually a really good question. And I was in HR management corporate in Silicon Valley. So in high tech, in kind of the heat of it. And I loved it. And, was this way with my career path and just gobbling everything up. And then I had kids. I was already married, had my kids, and it changed things. They were joking about me giving birth to my second on the boardroom table, and it was kind of a wink, wink, joke, but not really. And I just felt like I wasn't going to be able to be the type of mother I wanted to be in that environment. Mm-hmm. And so actually I took some time off. My husband and I decided one of us should stay home. And because I was the female and I make 73% of what a male can make, even though my career path was on a higher trajectory, we decided that I would be the one to stay home. And so it was in staying home with the kids. I co-founded a neighborhood association. I volunteered in any and everything that I developed this fundraising background, which is what led me to having the idea for starting my custom sock company, with part of it being a fundraising aspect and part of it being geared towards just socks can be, give me a reason and I can give you a reason, or I can give you a sock for it. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine. So then when you decided to say, okay, I'm going to turn this into a business, what was the shift that you had to go through? I mean, was it a scary leap for you, or was it like, oh, this just makes so much sense, I'm going to go for it?
I would like to meet an entrepreneur who had no fear going into starting their business. It was
exactly. Do they even exist?
Yeah. And I mean, it's really scary. And I'm a perfectionist. I'm a type A perfectionist. And so I don't like to make mistakes. I don't like to fail. And when I do, I want to fix it right away. And that is not the life of an entrepreneur. You have to be ready to hear the word no. You have to be ready to have the doors close in front of you. And so, no, it was really, really scary. But I felt like I had earned this. I felt like it was worth taking a chance. And mainly what it was I felt like succeed or fail, I would be setting an example for my children to see that I went after a dream. And I felt like that was the true success that I could pull from this, no matter how the company turned out, that I set that example for them, that we can achieve anything that we try to achieve. And even if we don't, at least we tried, at least we went after it and we gave it our all.
Oh, that's powerful. And children do what we do,
Yes.
right? So they're emulating you. So
Yes.
that's so powerful.
Thank you.
Now, why socks? Okay. So that's just the burning question. And I know you've been powerful in the whole fundraising space, and I want to talk about that. But what led you to the idea of the socks?
Yeah, it's a very good question because I was a white sock wearing person when I started this company, and I was actually kind of angry that I'd go to DSW or shoe stores and I couldn't buy just a pair of white socks anymore. They all had something on them. And so for me, it was more of the idea of being able to use something practical. I joke gluten-free, as a fundraiser, and socks were like the catalyst for that idea, because it was something that is practical and wearable, and it's not, the wrapping paper, the cookie dough, the stuff that we're so sick of, that I saw parents just throwing money at. And so
Right.
it wasn't necessarily a love for socks. It was more the practicality of them and how they can be applied in so many situations, like, as a gift at a wedding to a corporate event, it just runs this entire gamut. And so that's where the idea for socks came from.
Yeah.
And
And
it was
right.
unique.
Everybody wears them. Well, not everybody, but most people.
Most people do. I got a lot of people from Florida saying we don't wear them, and I'm like, I know, I'm not going to make everybody happy, but most people do.
Right. Yeah. There's 49 other states. So we'll figure it out.
And even a lot of Floridians wear them too. So yes.
Well, now you have mentioned in that when you first pitched your idea,
Mhm.
that it wasn't received the way you had hoped,
Mhm.
but you didn't give up.
No.
And so, can you just share that a little bit? Because I know a lot of the business owners and some that are listening today have had similar experiences. And like you said, we're going to get the door slammed in our face. We're going to get no's. But what did you learn from that, and what did you do about it?
I feel like when you start your own business, when you're an entrepreneur, when the idea literally comes from your head, it's a very vulnerable position. And so I had reached, I had gone to my inner circle, my immediate family, my loved ones, and kind of run the idea by them. And they were all extremely supportive. And this was like my fourth or fifth idea, and the other ones, they were like, no, I don't think so. And so it was a real positive step that maybe I had a good idea this time, that they weren't, saying, well, maybe you should think of something else. But then taking it outside of that safe circle is scary again. And I did that. I didn't even intentionally do it with someone that I had worked with, I very much respected and trusted, and just kind of told him what I was thinking. And he laughed in my face. And it just had me, I just curled in on myself and, kind of hunched my shoulders and walked out the door, and just questioned everything I was doing, everything I thought. I was in the beginning of building the company, the website, the branding, all of that stuff. And it just made me take a step back. But what I realized is his opinion doesn't validate who I am or my ideas. And actually, when I got told no quite a few times in the beginning, or I got laughed at, for example, it actually made me more determined to prove them wrong. And so a piece of, so I was able to flip that and use it as motivation, as fuel for the fire, is, well, you'll see, let's catch up in 5 years and let me tell you what my sock company is doing, and how we've been able to, make an impact in communities all over the country. And so that's what I used it for. But I think acknowledging that fear, that vulnerability, is something that's important for us to do, because it gives us permission to deal with it and then move on. How are we going to go forward from this experience? How are we going to prove them wrong, if that's what motivates you?
Yeah. Well, I love the entrepreneurial spirit, and that's what you did. You said, "Okay, watch me."
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes, a lot of times people allow that criticism to throw them off their path. And so I think it's something that's important to address. I remember in my early years in business, I was shifting to create a new company, and I had a then friend of mine let me just say, at the time, say, "Well, what are you going to do when this fails?" You know? And I just remember leaving that restaurant going, well, I'm going to prove, I'm going to show her kind of thing.
Yeah.
And even though, it's not like we're here to knock people down, but sometimes we have it. I think it challenges us to go inward, to go, hey, how badly do I really want this?
Mhm.
And how aligned am I with this idea, which just sounds like what you did.
And it's interesting you say that. The pandemic was difficult on most of us. Very few people thrived, but most of us, it was very, very difficult. And there were a lot of times I thought about closing the doors, or it just didn't seem like I was going to make it, or I didn't know how I was going to make it. And I actually it was a friend of mine who, she's like, well, you've tried hard, you've done a good job. Maybe it's time, it's just time. And that, of anything that happened, was
Wow.
what motivated to be like, no, it's not. I have put blood, sweat, and tears into this thing. I have put I have put so much effort into this, and I believe in it more than she does. And that was that, like, her naysaying, and she was just trying to be supportive. She's a friend. She was just trying to be like, well, you did a good job, now move on. And yeah, it was that like created this belief in myself of like, I am not going to let this take me down. I am going to continue to work and overcome. And it just gave me a drive that I hadn't had before somebody saying that out loud to me.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that,
Yeah.
really. Now, you create fundraisers for businesses with your socks as part of what you do. And, I was thinking about that and how powerful that is. What do you feel are some ways that business owners can get involved in adding a fundraising element to their business or helping out a cause while they're growing their business?
Yeah, we do about half of our business is the fundraising side, and about half of it is corporate, and then they definitely cross over sometimes. One of the examples we did is, a lot of corporations have a dollar amount that they in a nonprofit that they've chosen, and they contribute that to them every year. And so which is great. It's a wonderful thing. But we figured out a way to optimize that. Let's just throw an easy number out there, $10,000. So they're going to give this nonprofit $10,000 to do what they will with it. And so instead of them giving them the money, we used that money and we customized socks for the nonprofit. And so essentially the corporation bought the socks, and then we donated them to the nonprofit. And so then the nonprofit sold them for a 100% profit. And so if they can, if they get 500 pairs of socks for free, and then they sell them for $20, that's how much money that they can raise over just getting that original money. And so it makes the money go so much farther than just handing them a check. It also, it made the corporations feel better, because it holds the nonprofit accountable for the money that they're being given. Like they're a partner in it.
Yes.
And it was just a very creative way to go about it. And it was very, very successful for everybody involved. The corporation got more involved in their events because they were selling the socks and trying to help raise money for it. And I thought it was just a win-win for community relations in general for the two.
Yeah, it's kind of that idea that you have skin in the game, right?
Yes, on both
Yeah.
sides.
On
Exactly.
both sides. And people got socks to wear,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. They got something out of it. Yes.
Yeah, I love that idea. It's kind of this idea of instead of, you're giving, but you're also giving people an opportunity to create their own leg up, you
Mhm.
know?
Exactly.
And so I love that. Now, with your business, your own business, Lisa, um, marketing,
Mhm.
business owners often struggle with marketing.
Mhm.
What would you say has been your most successful, or one or a few of your most successful marketing strategies you've used to expand your business?
Yes, I started a company without a sales and marketing background. So, I
Mhm.
think a lot of us do that too, right? Because you can only have so many pieces in place if you're going to start. Sometimes you just have to go. And that's what I decided to do. And I felt like one of the things I think I identified in the very beginning that really helped me succeed was and I've actually advised a lot of entrepreneurs about this, is we think about who is our target customer, right? Create the avatar, identifying who is that target customer. But I really feel like you need to take it one step further and figure out how am I going to acquire that customer? If I'm selling on Amazon, how am I distinguishing myself from the other 100 million people on Amazon? If I'm going to set up brick and mortar, how am I going to get people to walk into my store? If I'm e-commerce, how are they going to find my website? And so that was something I really focused on, was how am I going to acquire customers? And so my first marketing tactic right out the door was to go to conferences, conventions, because it was thousands of people at one time. And so if you walk away, I usually walk away with about 10% of the attendees are qualified leads. So if there's 2,000 people there and I walk away with 200 leads, that's significantly more traffic than I'm going to get to my brand new little tiny website on a small budget. And also for me, when I was first starting, the conferences really helped as validation. I put my idea out there to 2,000 people at a time and got their feedback. Is this something you'd be interested in? And is this even the right direction I should go in? So that was probably number one for me, was just finding a unique way to acquire those customers in the beginning, because then you can build on referrals and repeat customers. The second marketing thing has been getting onto LinkedIn, for sure, because it's just, when we think of social media, we often will just, rally off Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. And I think we often forget about LinkedIn and the amount of networking that is available there, and the way to reach corporations and to make contact with people that there's no way you could meet. Even if you go to an event, you're not going to most likely meet the founder of Hint, or the head of marketing at PlayStation, or all these people are in the Bay Area, but I met them on LinkedIn, and I didn't and that opportunity and the ability to start a conversation with them, a very realistic conversation, and figure out how we can support each other. I think that's really key in building those relationships. But I've been very, very impressed with the potential of LinkedIn without just selling. The people who just sell is not the way to build your business or your brand on LinkedIn, but creating that valuable networking relationships.
Yeah, I love it if you're approaching it that way. And especially for B2B, I mean, you get flooded with sales pitches on your inbox, right? On LinkedIn. But if you look at it in building relationships, which is exactly what you're doing at the trade show, it's the same kind of thing. But the cool thing is you have access to all of these CEOs that, you may not otherwise be able to connect with. So I think that's really powerful advice.
Exactly. And often too, it's not like, please sell, it's please buy socks for me. It's, we might have some interest in the same nonprofit, or there might be ways I can refer them, or they can refer me to, needs that we're looking for. There's lots of ways to find value. And then they remember you later down the line when, they're like, oh, we need socks. And oh, Lisa helped me 2 years ago. It's all about, I feel like it's really about expanding that network and supporting each other, collaborating as much as possible.
Yes. And that's what WeBank is all about,
Exactly.
and why we're here today. And I love that you brought up trade shows, because, it looks like they're happening again. Yay, in person.
Yes.
And so, yeah, for those of you listening, it's a great way. It's a good one-to-many strategy. Like you said, a lot of people in the room. I mean, that would take forever for, cold calling all of those people. That could take months or even years to try to get those people to connect. So, and then it's the follow-up after that. That's key, right? Because you could come home with a stack of cards and then not follow up. So what is your strategy for follow-up?
One of the things, and I'll share this because it's WeBank, a tip that I was given is, when you've met someone at a trade show, they most likely aren't going to remember the name of your company, your name, but they probably will recognize your face. And so when I send a follow-up after the conference, I don't do it on Monday. People told me don't do it the very day after, because they're so bombarded trying to catch up. So I do it usually Wednesday or something after they've gotten everybody else's messages, right? Do it after that. And then I always include a short clip of a video that I make and say like, hey, I'm Lisa, we met at the conference. We talked about this. And I find I can track the open rates, and the open rates are pretty high on the video. And I feel like it's just a way to continue to make the experience personal, and not, again, that cold sales outreach of, and that pressure. It's just making it personal. I have a pair of socks here. Like, I'll show them a pair of socks that we had that they may have seen, just to remind them, so they remember that conversation we had, and then we can continue that conversation.
Yeah, that's such great advice. One thing that I've done, and thank you for the reminder, is actually do video texting too. That's another. So you can do video through email, but you can also do video through text.
You
And
can? I didn't even know that.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's just like you have here's my phone, you make your little video. Hey, John, it's Allison. It was so great meeting you at the WeBank conference. And, I was thinking about you and I was thinking about that challenge you have. And I think I have an idea for you or whatever you talked about, right?
Yeah.
And then do you have a minute to hop on a call? And they're gonna see it.
Right.
Right? Whereas in the email, sometimes it's lost in the flurry.
So you
So
find the text more effective than the email?
you always get a response. Almost
Interesting.
always. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Allison. I'm going with
Yeah,
that.
sure. Well, you reminded me by saying that, which was such a great idea. Now I want to talk a little bit about team, because to scale a business, to grow a business, you got to have a team.
Mhm.
But it can be one of the most challenging pieces of business. What have been your biggest lessons in building and scaling a team?
Yeah, and especially I think now is almost more challenging than ever with people leaving like the higher and turnover rate right now is just crazy. And so finding quality people is a really big challenge. I think one of the things I learned in the beginning was to really try to hire. I have people in more like not a full-time role, not necessarily part-time because it's not the 40 hours a week, but I have them now in the role that is specific to what they are good at. I tried to hire somebody and bring her in and have her doing a multitude of things because that's what entrepreneurs do, right? We wear many hats. And I realized that doesn't really work when I want someone to specialize in the graphic design. She's not necessarily going to know sales. And I couldn't expand that way. And so I very specifically have hired for what my weaknesses are. Social media was the very first hire I did because I'm terrible at it. And B, for their strength, and made sure that I kept them in their lane so they could excel. And in that, with them excelling in their positions, we will be able to scale the company together, which will eventually turn their position into a full-time position at what they're good at. So those are the kind of the two things that I have used to scale the business and hire.
Yeah, I love that. I think sometimes in business we can get sucked into trying to learn things we're not good at or that we don't enjoy,
Right.
and that's just, you've heard that, focus on your strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just such a relief. And then find other people that those areas that you don't like, that they love.
Exactly. And I think too, it's more than your strengths, it's your strengths, but in addition to focus on the things that the business is going to be better at because you're doing, like how, there's definitely things that we have our strengths in running our business. And that's what we should be focusing on the most. These other things that we have to do, that's where you can hire people to do those things if they're not as critical to the growth and the sustainability of the business.
Yeah, great, great advice. So those of you listening, let those things go.
Yes.
Delegate them. So
Yeah.
it's a relief.
Yes.
Now, can you share, Lisa, any tips in managing your most valuable asset, which is time,
Mm.
right? And so when running a demanding business, taking time with your family, all of that, do you have any of your practices that you can share with us to help us out there?
Yeah, I'm a calendar junkie. I'm a list junkie and a calendar junkie. And what actually I'm working on right now is combining that so that I don't have a to-do list, I have a when to-do list. And so the night before, I know I can look at my calendar, I know when I'm going to schedule, when I have meetings scheduled or a variety of things. And so then when I make my to-do list, I now have it, in blocks of time. And I try to calendar when I'm going to do specific tasks. And if I can keep on that, it usually gets me out of work sooner because I've accomplished much more, because sometimes we get caught in the procrastination of just not really knowing what to do next because there's so much, and so that's the way I've found to be able to really try to maximize my time. I also sometimes will set timers. if like, for example, when I'm working in LinkedIn, if I need to do this for a half hour. And so I'll set the half hour timer. And when it's done, it's done. Whatever I didn't accomplish needs to be either done at the end of the day, if I still have time, or tomorrow, but to help me get on to those other tasks that need to be done today so that I can sit down and have dinner with my family. And that's a key piece. I also get up, I exercise in the morning. I prefer to start my day that way, and it just gets me going right away. And so I think each of us finding what works for us in the morning to get us out of bed and motivated and ready to just hit the ground running is really a key thing. And identifying that and building that into our schedule is really critical so that we have that time for ourselves as well.
Yeah. So really scheduling all the things that you want to do
Mm-hmm.
in your calendar so that you don't have to sit there thinking, what should I do next? And then having a timer. That's an awesome idea, because how many times do we get lost scrolling on social media and waste so much time? Right?
Exactly. I actually don't check social media during the day as well. That's one of the ways I save time is I just don't, because I'll lose a half hour, and that half hour
Yeah.
could have been spent following up with potential customers, or multiple ways, multiple things.
Yeah, it really is discipline, I think, and just having the intention instead of sort of letting your schedule run you. You know, you take
Exactly.
ownership of it. So this year is the 25th anniversary of WeBank, which is really exciting. And just curious, how has being part of WeBank, this amazing organization that is, this is their podcast, how's that assisted you in your business journey, being a certified women-owned business?
It has had such a tremendous impact. It was something I had to learn about actually at a networking event with Facebook, of all things. And he said, I'll talk to you more if you're WeBank certified. And I was like, WeBank certified. And I was just a couple of years into my business. And so I just started that process. And it's not only like the certification is fantastic, especially because people are paying more attention to where their products or services are coming from. Being a woman-owned business has helped me get customers for sure, because they're happy to work and support with a woman-owned small business. But in addition, WeBank offers the resources, and the training are fantastic. I'm in a platinum supplier program right now, working on my capability statement and my pitch, and I get to pitch to 30 corporations at the end of this, and it's getting me ready for nationals by doing this. And the fact that WeBank allows you, there's the 14 different regional offices or regional areas of the country, and that we can participate in any of those regions, any of the events in any of those regions, virtually or in person, depending on what's going on, I think it just enables it more. Then the networking with the other WBEs is just, there's so much support and collaboration, and helping a sister out, right? Like, let's lift each other up and take this
Yes.
on.
Yeah, the power of relationships with WeBank, relationships with the corporations, relationships with the other WBEs, all the way around is so powerful, and they offer so much support for the business owners. I just can't say enough. So if those of you that are listening and you're not certified yet, you absolutely want to do that.
Definitely get
So
certified. And if you are certified, look at the calendars. Make sure you look at the different calendars from the different regions and see all of the events they are offering, because they are there. We just have to go find them sometimes.
yeah, you can't just get certified and then not do anything.
Exactly.
And I've talked to WBEs sometimes. Well, I got certified, nothing happened. And then I dig a little deeper, and they haven't actually utilized the certification. So that's really key, is to show up and put the effort into building the relationships, and it will always come back to you.
And what WeBank is so good at too is they offer these fantastic programs. Sorry, I took WeThrive, which was an 8-week training program basically for entrepreneurs, CEOs. And because what WeBank does is they get it funded by these amazing corporations, like the podcast is supported by Target, and so they get it funded. So it's a minimal amount for the amount of training we're receiving, for us to pay for the amount of training we're receiving, because these corporations sponsor it. And that's something I have rarely seen in outside of any other organization besides WeBank.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Well, let's see. We've talked about fundraising, team, marketing, social media, time management. As we wrap up today, Lisa, first of all, how can people connect with you and learn more about, how they could work with you at Spirit Sox?
Oh, thank you. There's a lot of different ways. Our website is probably one of the easiest. It's spiritsoxusa.com. Sox is SOX. Also, my email is just lisa@spiritsoxusa.com. You can always find me on Facebook or LinkedIn. And I can give out a phone number too. It's 408-513-3645.
Awesome. Now, as we part here, is there a last piece of advice that you can leave our listeners with?
Oh, shoot, put the pressure on. I think, if I'm speaking to women business owners, I mean, there are going to be tough days, and there's going to be no's, like we said, and there's going to be times where we feel like we fail. And I think allowing ourselves to feel that what I do is I allow myself that night, I give myself a pity party is what I call it. But, getting up the next day and brushing yourself off, and knowing that one no or that closed door doesn't define you or your business. It might be a big setback, but it wasn't the end, right? And just continuing to persist on and utilizing your resources if you need more help than just getting up and dusting yourself off.
That is beautiful advice and such a great reminder. We all need to hear that and remember that. So thank you so much, Lisa, for
Sure.
Lisa Riggs with Spirit Sox USA. Thank you for being on the show. And so if you enjoyed the show today, definitely subscribe to Women Who Own It podcast and share this with other women business owners. Let them know about the show. And if you want to learn how to scale your company and you're ready for that, I want to send you a free copy, a gift, a free copy of my Wall Street Journal best-selling book, Scale or Fail. All you need to do is go to www.scaleorfail.com/WeBank, WBENC. And we're going to send it to you free of charge. And so, as our gift to you. And until next time, get out there, elevate yourself because you are worth it. Bye, everybody.